being broadcast live and taped for playback later on YouTube. The listings of the matter, those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at this meeting. Not all items listed, in fact, may be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up to the extent permitted by law. With that, I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
Motion to open the meeting.
I have a motion for Mr. DeRoss. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
Mr. Hessian is a yes. I'm going to reorganize the agenda a little bit. We'll stick with the minutes, drain layers, abatements. Then I want to go into new connections, then to the admin update. So with that, do we have any minutes to be approved?
No.
If you could give me an update of where we stand on them, and not now, but where we stand on the minutes as far as catching up and postings, I'd appreciate it. Not tonight, but when you get a minute. Drain layers.
We don't have any.
Okay, I do have something to bring up that from the board. Robin gave me 2 drain layers to check out. I'm not going to mention their names. Well, I have to now. Mitchell Associates and Roto-Rooter. Roto-Rooter only supplied 2 references. We usually require 3. The references I checked were good. What you have to think about for our next working session is, do we want to hold firm and say get the 3rd? I'm looking at Roto-Rooter being emergency repairs for the residents. Or how do you want to handle that? But again, that's for discussion at our next working session. While I'm on the working session, I sent you copies of a proposed agenda for our next meeting. If you get back to me with any changes you'd like to make to that, I'll do so. Where was I? How about abatements, Robin? Do we have any?
We don't have any.
Oh, this is going to be a good meeting. With that, I'll go to new connections. First on the list.
Fire Street.
Fire Street. Is Mr. Gaspar here? I do not see him. Again, for the rest of the board, that's Dwyer Street. Dwyer Street is looking for a refund. I've spoken to Chris Brennan, to Pat Brennan, the engineer for the project for the town, and he still has them doing some things. So once he gets, I'll forward you a copy of his report. I think I did. Okay, I think I did. Okay. With that, I will go to Mr. Wheeler.
Yep.
Of 48 Carey Street. And please introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like to do.
I'm James Wheeler. I'd like to re-hook up lot 1 and hook up a duplex on lot 2.
Lot 1 already has a stub, correct?
Correct. So it's already, there used to be a 5-bedroom. Now I'm only going to do a 3-bedroom.
And the duplex that does not have a stub?
It does not have a stub.
Do you have any drawings for the proposed
Yeah,
building?
I left them off there a couple weeks ago.
Okay, I've seen them. Do you have copies? Sherry, Dan, did you have a chance to look at them?
No, I haven't seen them.
Well, they've been there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, what I'll do, Mr. Wheeler, is I will expedite this and we'll try to get to it on our weekly session next week. But just for questioning, how many bedrooms are you going to be having total in the duplex?
4. 2 and 2.
So a total of 4 bedrooms. What about on the first one, first lot?
3 bedrooms.
Okay, the duplex just puts you on the cusp of the moratorium. The 3 does not.
Well,
I can't see holding up for that because that is an existing connection, but
yeah,
What's the construction timeline?
I don't know, the lot one's ready, just about ready to go. Once I get this, I can go pull the permit. Lot two, I don't have the water yet.
Okay, if we grant this permit, I want you to understand that it's for only valid for 2 years.
Yep, oh yeah, it'll be done by then.
Okay, if you want me to take a quick minute, I can calculate out you, no, I can't calculate. I'll calculate out your fees later and get it to you.
You got mail.
Shut up.
Not to interrupt you, but lot one, I shouldn't have any fees except for the, except for the,
You will not have a tie-in fee.
No, I won't have any tie-in fee. I shouldn't have any fees because it already exists.
No, you're gonna be subject to that as additional flow. What was the unit that was on lot one? What was it?
5-bedroom,
5-bedroom?
Is there a building on the lot now?
no. No, but it's got a two-year grace period.
When did you tear down the building?
Last, about a year ago.
You still will be subject to the I&I fees.
Which one, how much is that? The one, about 6,000?
Well, you're gonna be subject to the I&I fees for both. I can get them to you tomorrow. I have to calculate them out.
I expected the ones on the duplex. I didn't expect the ones on the other one. It's an existing house. It's an existing hookup. You really can't put new fees on existing hookups.
I can on the flow,
On the what?
on the flow. We're under an administrative order from the EPA. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look into that because I don't believe it should be.
All right, if it's not, it's not, but I do want to look
Yep.
into that.
Yes.
But you will be subject to 440 gallons.
It's
But
a
it's
it's a
three
three bed,
bedrooms.
three bed, three bed.
Mr. Chairman, it's 3 bedrooms.
The duplex is 4.
No,
Right. He's not ready to build the duplex. Is that correct, Mr. Wheeler?
yeah, I'm talking about the existing.
So all
one.
you're going after then tonight is for the single.
No, I'm gonna get on the list. I want to do the single shortly, but I want to get on the list for the duplex.
Well, at
Duplex would
440,
be something.
if it's only a 4-bedroom unit, you will not be subject to the moratorium, so you will not be on the list.
Right, well, you told me to get the plan in to get on the list.
Right, what I told you to get the plan in so you can get the permit, get everything filed.
Oh, okay.
You're not subject to the moratorium.
Oh, yeah, but at the one family, I'm not subject to it either.
Okay, no, the one family where it's the existing, I'm just gonna have to recheck on the fees.
Right.
But I do not see a problem with that at all.
Right, yeah.
I
Perfect.
will entertain a motion to connect 48 Carey Street as a single family. I am not going to take a vote on the duplex yet.
My question, I do have a question though, is so there's no vote on the duplex because I'm wondering if this should be considered one project.
2 different addresses.
Yes, it's three, it's gonna be 3 different addresses.
Thank you.
That would be in that story. So
So you wouldn't be able to give me the figures for the duplex tonight?
not all of them, no. I can tell you right now that the I&I and engineering removal fee will be approximately for 4 bedrooms, $79.98, $8,000.
Yeah, 79.98.
Yeah, but we're also looking at tie-in fees and
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, you can give me all of those later.
Yeah,
I
I
just-
will
I
have
just
them
want-
to you. I will have them out to you tomorrow. I will,
Okay,
if you could send Rob, I do have your email address. I'll email them to you.
okay,
They will not be finalized. We vote approval on that. These will
Okay.
be strictly estimate.
okay. I mainly just want to be all set on lot one and get on the list for lot two. That's all I care about.
I'll make a motion that we approve connection for lot 1,
Second, I
unit.
make the motion.
single family unit, 3 bedrooms. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
We have a second.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss,
Yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes.
and Mr. Hessian is a yes. That is approval, 2-year valid for 2 years, effective this date, for a 3-bedroom unit, single-family unit at 48 Carey Street. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. So you'll let me know on the duplex?
I will get to you tomorrow.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you. Appreciate it. I don't know how to shut this off. Okay, all right.
Next connection is 333 Weymouth Street, Mr. Eric Shoemaker. Hi, Eric.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Eric Shoemaker with Mackenzie Engineering. I'm here with Pauline O'Keefe, who is our client and owner of the property, and I believe Lawrence Gogarty. So I can screen share the plan if you don't mind.
If you would.
All right, make it easier on everybody. So this is 333 Weymouth Street. You're looking, can everyone see the plan?
Yep.
So this is the existing site. It's a sheet metal HVAC fabrication building. I believe it's generally 25% office, the rest of it being warehouse. And what we proposed here was an addition to the existing building, this 13,600 square foot addition to the building with some parking out front and loading bays on the northern side of the addition over where my cursor is. The reason why we're here tonight is on this grading and utility plan, we're proposing a sewer connection from the new addition over here to the existing connection coming out of the main building. So we anticipate we had our plumbing engineer make an estimate of an extra 375 gallons per day put into that line. So there'll be no openings in the street. We want to retain this new connection on site. We plan to just do a TY sewer connection and have contractor verify that existing invert elevation. And we plan to connect with just a 6-inch PVC from the addition. So that's our plan, and we can answer any questions and hear what the commission has to say about this.
Excuse me, the first question I have, in the addition, will there be any floor drains?
I don't believe there are any floor drains. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pauline. I can actually, I'll look through as we're speaking. I'll just double check and look through the architecturals, but I don't believe there are floor drains.
I think that we considered putting one over near one of the entrances on the left side of the building. There is
Inside the
one, I
building?
believe. Yes,
And what's going to be the nature of the work inside that building?
it's predominantly for storage. All the existing machinery is going to stay in the existing structure. It's just that we have a lot of trailers and whatnot that we're using for storage on the site right now. And it's really just to clean the place up and have more space inside the building to store ductwork.
In that storage, would there be any chance of oil or gasoline leakage?
No, we don't do anything with oil or gasoline.
Eric, if you could put up the drawing to show the utilities again, the storage,
Yes.
if you don't mind.
And I'd just like to add as well that we do have approval from Conservation and Planning Board. So it was a condition to meet with both the water and sewer departments.
Okay. The only thing I could say is where that's coming from, that other bathroom, the new proposed sewer line, where it takes that dog leg over to the right, almost right at the corner of the existing building right there.
Yep.
You could put a clean out or an access there.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll do it right to the northern side of this gas main.
Yep. The only other concern I had was crossing over water.
Yeah, we did speak about that. I think we're gonna be deep enough, but if not, we'll entrench it in concrete and do as typical, we'll construct it as in compliance with the regulations.
I'm not proposing a doghouse there, are you?
We're not, no, it's just a T connection to the existing sewer.
Okay, if you could just double check on that intersection of the water line. Those were my concerns, and if you would agree to put a clean out in at that cutoff, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
That's all the questions I had. What? Dan?
No, I'm good with it.
Sherry?
No, I had the same question concerning the water line. I could see it crossing over. And there was a letter of conditions has that all been satisfied?
As far as with the planning board,
Yes.
we're working through that now. The conditions were mainly to meet with highway department, water department, and sewer department. So we're working through those now. I just have to schedule a meeting with the water.
What's your timeline for construction, Eric?
I think Pauline wants to get going as soon as possible. I think she wants to start in late spring. Is that correct, Pauline?
Well, it's going to take us, we figure, at least 3 months just to do the site work, to level all the land that's out there and clean the whole area up. So we would like to start on the building next fall, if we can queue somebody up. So we started, now that we have some approved site plans, we're out getting our last bids that we hope to have in for next week for the site work. And then we put the building out to bid to get final numbers on that as well.
The only other thing, I guess I spoke to the previous applicant that this permit would be for good for 2 years from date of, well, basically tonight, if approved. And
Okay.
if I could, I'd like to be able to get you to the fees, any fees involved by to you by Friday, if that's okay. Tomorrow is Friday, huh? How about Monday? Can I have till Monday?
Certainly.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board?
No,
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion
What is your motion?
for the sewer line
For approval?
for approval.
All right, I have a motion on the table to approve the additional sewer line connection for 333 Weymouth Street. Do I have a second?
I'd like to amend that motion pending approval of the water line.
That's a good comment. Eric, when do you think you'll have an answer on that water line?
I'm communicating with Crystal now. I'm not even sure a meeting will be necessary. There's no additional connections for the water. It's just a matter of, I think, internally routing that line, the existing water to service the addition. So I believe they had someone reviewing the plan today. I'll check back in with her tomorrow and
Let me ask you
guys
this. You
informed.
think you'll have an answer by Monday night, Tuesday morning? Because the reason I'm saying is we're scheduling, we have tentatively scheduled for a working session Tuesday. I'll get you on the agenda I'll put you on the agenda anyway for tentative approval, if you can get that clearance on that.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with her tomorrow, but I know their office, she said she was pretty busy, so it's a work in progress.
Okay, here's what I'll also offer you. If you can't make it Tuesday, we could do the following Tuesday.
Yeah,
I
perfect.
won't hang you up long.
Okay,
So you just get us that approval and we'll take it from there. And by then I'll have your fees for you.
all right.
Is that
got
okay,
it.
Pauline?
Yes, I think that's absolutely fine. Thank you.
Okay. Anything to help you out, you let us know. And if you can get that expedited, we'll do the same for you. But again, we're going to be meeting Tuesday. I'll put you on the agenda. If you don't make it, I'll put you on the following agenda for the following week.
Okay, that sounds
Okay.
good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Yep. I have to make my notes for a senior moment. Okay, finally, we have new connections done. I mentioned that they're 2 years from the application date, so I did that. I'm good on that. Robin. the show is
Yeah. It's me.
you.
I don't have an administrative update. I don't have anything right now.
Timed this incredibly tonight. That's another game one I wanted to watch. Okay, I'll go through the project update if you don't mind. Let me see what I have here. Veolia. I received it from John Iott, the latest. CWMP, they're waiting to comment. I'm going to put, now the CWMP, I'm going to take it out of the little out of context here because we had to have some conversations with the EPA. The CWMP was originally due, well, it's on track to be due, but it needed to be submitted to the EPA after a 45-day public comment period, which was messed up by the when they switched over from NIPD's to this. So I contacted them, and what we're going to do is we're going to issue the draft in mid-June. Now, this is going to be for the board members and Robin. This is going to be a very in-depth book. This is not like the other two drafts. This is going to be about 3 inches thick. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take me at least 2 to 3 weeks to get through it. So by the time we get through that review and give them our comments, then the hearing would be close to the end of May, mid-June. And that would be the time they need for public comment and get it into the newspaper. So speaking with MDEP, DEP, and EPA, they're on board with our approach. They're going to get us that draft out by mid-April, give us time to comment on it, and then go for public comment. So there was supposed to be a submission the end of April. They're going to give us a buy on that. They're going to send us a letter documenting that. So we'll be there. On the rate study, I had Veolia close that out because the rate study with Weston Sampson is in the final phase. The I&I control plan, I asked him what he needed from us, and he's going to be getting a list. Rick, this is for you. The IPP program, I told him to touch base and whatever support you need in that to give it to you. And we'll take care of it on our end.
Excuse me, I'm losing track of what you're saying because you're going so fast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What did you say about the I&I?
I&I control plan. I had asked them to give us a list of what they, being Veolia, need to close that out from their oversight. I think I can't read their fine print here. Let me see. I control plan.
I&I?
Yeah, board. No, I'm looking at that. It says it's active. We can close that out. I don't think we need any further support on that. Okay, the IPP program. I told them to touch base with Rick and any further assistance he needed from them. So Rick, make sure you get it. I know you're tied up. Don't be afraid to tell them to handle it for you.
And who is it that you want to touch base with, Rick?
Yeah, I'm a little confused.
Iott?
Oh, okay.
The gas piping, I told them to close that out as far as overseeing the design phase that is now in with Weston Sampson. I do want them to follow up on the installation once that starts, because Weston Sampson will be out of it. The only reason I'll get someone else involved is if Hallam or Wilkinson starts backtracking on the schedule. Now, what it looks like is the gas piping should be done this week with the bid package ready for our review. We'll have that at the working session next week to approve. Then it can go to Chris Kenny for his approval, and we should be able to get that out.
And that's just the bid package for the gas piping?
That's the bid package for the companies to bid on the installation.
All right, so it's done this week and then it's going to Chris Kenny for review before it goes out to bid?
Correct. The one task I did add to them. It was on there, but I didn't see it, but I sent them an email to add it. with the May submission to the EPA.
You sent an email to who?
John Ayotte. I believe I sent you, CC'd you a copy on that. If not, I'll make sure you get a copy. That closes out Veolia. Right, Pierce, on the CWMP. The CWMP, we will have, as I said earlier, we'll have the final draft in 2 weeks. We're going to have 2 to 3 weeks to oversee that. Then we'll make our comments to issue the final copy. That'll go off for public comment, 45 days for public comment. It'll be published in the newspaper, on the website. People get a chance to look at it. Then they will be doing a public presentation on it, you know, which is going to incorporate all the public comments, all our comments, and present it to the town. I'm not looking for that to be presented until probably June.
So right, Pierce, after the public comment period is going to do a presentation or before?
They're going to do it afterwards. I may have them do a quick dog and pony for us to explain it, not as in-depth as it will be for the public, because it's going to be quite the document.
But they're going to do the presentation after the 45 days for public?
After the 45 days. So because with the public, when I have them present it, I want them to also present the public's comments and the answers to those comments.
How are we getting the information to the public prior so that they can comment?
We'll be doing that in the newspapers, and we'll be putting it out once we get the draft. They're going to give us a checklist to go right down and how we submit it. Now we jump to Weston Sampson. The I&I remediation schedule looks like it's going to begin next week and run to the end of August. I've asked them to give us a posting of a 2-week advance schedule of the work, of where it's going to be, when it's going to start, and what it's going to be consisting of. They will be supplying that to Robin, the board, and the Rockland Police Department to coordinate details. Weston Sampson will be providing the daily monitoring of the job, where they provided the specs, and that's also to assure the quality control and the future warranty and/or repairs to that work. The project rep, daily rep, will be Lori, and I forget her name, the back name. I'm very sorry, Lori, if you're going to be watching this, but I'll be touching base with them daily at the site. Any questions that anybody has that are directed to Weston, the site representative, should be identified with a Weston Sampson vest on and hat, and she'll be coordinating all that activity. I also told her to make sure she stays, keeps abreast of Rick, to let him know what's going on.
Mhm.
Rick, you saw those emails today going back and forth to them, didn't you?
Yes, I did, Chuck. Yep.
Now, which to follow in sequence to that would be the year 1 monitoring plan.
Excuse me, question. Can I add to that?
Sure.
For the police detail for that work, we might advise we should advise Weston and Sampson to contact the police to see if a detail is actually needed.
Yeah, I had them in contact with the police department, Chief Zioli today.
Okay.
I spoke to them and I said, well, I don't want to get into the mix. I'll find out afterwards. So all coordination is going to be from Weston Sampson to Chief Zioli. And again, they even explained to me that there may be some instances where police details are not even needed. So that figure, while I'm on that, the I&I work itself came in at $260,260. There's a $90,000 amendment to that, additional amendment. With that extra $90,000 is going to be for the police detail, and hopefully some of that will also be covered by ARPA. Well, that will shake out. Now, the year 1 monitoring, that's going to begin the end of April, and that should go through June. Now, what that work is going to include will be the installation of 15 flow meters around town, and they're also going to search for new and accessible inflow and infiltration for future repair work.
Are they doing that? Wait a minute. Is that with the flow meters that they're searching? Or
They're going to be installing 15 flow meters around town.
and that's sometime between April and June?
April and June. And they will be also doing a lot of camera work and looking for future I&I repair, possibility of repairs.
So who's doing this year one monitoring and installing the flow meters and the camera work?
Weston Sampson.
All right, thank you.
Now, one of the areas I'm going to have them focus on is the line brick from Plain Street, from Spruce Street to Plain, up West Water, over to John Dunn. I'd like to try to see if there's any significant I&I that's leading to our problems at that raised manhole. So hopefully we can, find.
Is this the raised, I'm sorry, is this the raised manhole on the school property?
Yes.
Okay, are we doing something about that?
Not right now. I've got to talk to them about that.
Okay, because I did get a call about that today, that it's caving in, and I put it in the book for the administrative update for Tuesday. But they had inquired on when it was going to be worked on.
Rick, is that the one at Reed's Fund that's giving us the problem?
No, it's on the school property.
Oh, on the school property. No, I didn't know. That's not the one we're talking about.
Okay,
Now, if that's on the school property, isn't that the school's responsibility?
it's a sewer manhole, it's ours.
Okay.
I have a note on that for Tuesday, though, to bring that up. I think I had sent you all an email about it prior, a couple weeks ago.
If you could resend that, Robin, I'd appreciate it. Just to refresh my memory. I probably
Please.
still have it. So that's the plan for the year one monitoring. The digester piping, the bid is complete. Bid package is complete. Work will be going out to bid by next week. And some of this will be covered by the ARPA funds. Work should start. And for the digester, they're hoping mid-May. There is a compliance deadline that Rick and I both know we're not going to meet, but we're going to have to deal with it.
When is the compliance deadline?
Rick, what?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Robin. I can get you that.
I think it was 6 months from
Hmm.
February, 6 months from.
It was, yeah, I believe it was like the second or third week of February.
Next February?
Yes.
We're not going to meet it. There's going to be some things that's going to have to be done. But they're working to talk to the state about granting us some breathing room. The rate study.
I'm sorry, can we just elaborate on that a second? The compliance issue, is that the gas thing that the state had imposed upon us? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Rick, you can answer that. I'll let you.
Yep, that's correct. That's correct, Robin.
I just want to know I need to understand what you're talking about when I'm taking the notes.
Oh, no. Okay. No, please ask all the questions you need.
All right, thank you.
Okay, the rate study. The rate study is complete. We had the presentation last week. We're waiting on any comments from town hall before finalizing it. There will be a formal report coming out on the rate study. I have asked for an addition to an amendment to the rate study for an additional $17,000. And the reason being, there was a lot that went into that rate study pending on the upgrade. However, there's going to be caveats to that. There's going to be Murphys in there. So what I have asked them to do was for a review on that rate study at 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. They'll do a brief, an intermittent follow-up, make some recommendations. The 5 year will be probably an in-depth review on it. I just want to make sure we're on track with the budget. And if some major equipment failure occurs, it could really throw a wrench into it. So we got to keep on top of that. If we have to adjust the rates further, that's when we'll have to do that. Anyway, that's to keep us on track for that. What's the next on my magic list here? To pull that. Jump up to the capacity discussion. I want to share a screen with you on something with that. I may see where that is. No, we don't want to do that. Anyway, here's some things I put up for the capacity. People were asking where we stand. Let me get back up to this one. Since January of 2019, that's 50 months, a 12-month rolling average is 2.6 million gallons a day. Now, a permitted maximum allowable discharge is 2.5 million gallons a day. We all know that. Now, again, I want to refresh your memory that 2.5 million gallons is the design capacity of the plant. When they do a design capacity, they take a lot of things into consideration. That 2.50 takes into consideration the 5-year, 10-year, and 100-year storms. That 2.5 million gallons means the facility was designed to withhold that. We had, and I'll get on the next slide, but we've had 3 system overflow events in November 2019, January of this year, and March of 19. And Rick, if I'm right, it ended up being about 1.3 million total that was overflowed into French's Stream. Now, sewer systems overflows happen when the flows to the treatment plant exceed the maximum holding capacity of 6 million gallons. Now, those are the excess holding tanks that we have in case of emergency. And when they overflow, it forces us to discharge partially treated sewer water into French's Stream. I can assure you that it was clean water going into the stream. But one of the other things that jumps out is since January of 2019, 50 months, we've been out of compliance 37 times, which is a 74% average for flow violations. Now, we've been issued 2 EPA administrative orders in 06 and 22 for repeated flow violations from 2006 to 2021. Those violations resulted in the second AO. Now, we were told in July of last year that we're going to be fined. That fine is going to be based on the violations of the first administrative order. Now, looking at the flows, we're projected to remove approximately 119,350 gallons a day of I&I. That I&I costs us a total of $789,000, or $6.61 a gallon to remove. And as I said earlier, that work's going to begin in April and run through August. Now, if we take that 119,000 out from a 12-month rolling average, that brings us from 2.6 to 2.48 million gallons a day. Now, keep in mind, we've had no new connections, with the exception of Primrose, since 2021. Now, the flows that we're seeing today still don't account from the pre-approved projects that we had before the moratorium, which is an additional 22,000 gallons to round things up. That's from Dwyer Street, 365 Concord, 320 Concord, Manzella, and Monahan Rink. I'm not sure if we're seeing the full flows. Now, we have 3 more requesting a hearing for new connections. Now, both EPA orders require us to remove 11 gallons of flow for every 1 gallon adds, which means we're going to have to remove another 238,000 gallons. Now, if you add that flow to the 2.48 or just the 21,000, that brings us back to 2.5. If you add the 1101, we're back up to 2.7.
Where'd you get the 238? Is that all those projects that you listed above?
Yeah, if you look at that, then multiply them times 11. That's what the EPA wants us to remove,
just for those projects there.
just for those projects there.
And we just, on the last slide, I think it was like 100, close to 100,000 was almost 8 million. So
That's.
that means that's
No, no,
$16
no, no,
million dollars.
No, no. What I'm saying is that 100,000, if you looked at everything we spent, being the SSES study to find it, everything else, that's where we came up with the 661 per gallon.
Right, but that
we
was
got
almost
that
$8
covered.
million dollars.
That was almost $1 million, correct? Let me
If you
just,
use that same price, if you use that same price on this 238,000 gallons, how much does that cost us to
okay,
remove?
let me get through the slides. If you add the additional flow of the 2.48, if you add the 21 thou, that gets us back to 2.5. If we ask the 2.7 with the EPA average, now we're back up to 2.72. Now, to safely add new users to this system, technically, we shouldn't be at any more than 1.85 or 2 million gallons a day to allow for rainfall, because we all know when we hit the rain, we go over the 2.5, we violate. That means to get it down to the 2.5, we've got to remove around 720,000 gallons of I&I. And at 661 a gallon, that's $4.7 million. All
Wow.
right, that's what it will cost us to remove. That's what we're paying, the 661 a gallon. So now the sewer department only has $200,000 a year in the fiscal, for 20 fiscal year 24 budget for I&I, and Sherry, I think that's what we carry through all along. Now that's enough money to remove 30,000 gallons of I&I. And that's, we have that $200,000 providing there's no major equipment problems forcing us to transfer funds. Now, based on that, it is highly unlikely that we're going to see anything, any new connections until fiscal year 25 at the earliest, unless we get more grant money to remove I&I. Now, the sewer department is focused on this upgrade. I mean, we hit the residents with a rate increase to tackle the I&I. It's going to have to be done by grants or loans. Now, as it was told to us that there is money out there, we're going to have to put our thinking hats on. We're going to need the town. They're in with us on this as well. To be quite blunt, they're just as much responsible for the second administrative order as the sewer department, because the other order was ignored. Now we're focused on getting this new plant up and running. That's an astronomical amount of money to come up with, and it cannot be done with developers' money. That would be insanity. We'd have to be repeating, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different results. It's just not going to work. With that, I might as well jump up to what was presented at the selectmen's meeting. I'm going to put off the moratorium discussion till later. For those of you who didn't attend, I'm just going to go through it real quick since there's no one here. We had Kevin Olson, Matt Johnson, Kevin Olson of Wright Pierce, Matt Johnson of Veolia, and myself present what we planned for the upgrade. Now I'm doing this for the residents who may be watching this on YouTube later. If this will be up on the town website and on the sewer department website. If you have any questions, please ask. Don't take anything for granted. Come to the source, come to the sewer commissioners for an answer. Now we're here at that meeting to discuss the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. You can see they want to say, well, how we got there, what were the drivers, proposed approach. This proposed approach is how we're going to attack this thing, the phasing, the timeline, and the funding. Now, how we got to this point was the 2006 EPA order. We both all know that money was appropriated in 07 to address both the CWMP and the facility study, but for whatever reason, it didn't get done. In 2019, 2020, the sewer commissioners took on getting a comprehensive wastewater treatment plant assessment. It was completed in 2021. Part of that charge was also in 2019, was also to undertake the comprehensive wastewater management plan. Now, in between that date, we got our new NIPDES permit. NIPDES permit stands for National Pollution Discharge and Elimination System. It's an EPA, a federal permit. The Mass DEP is now taking that over. Now, in that permit, at the time it was handled by EPA, was a more stringent phosphorus limit. Up to this point, our phosphorus limit was two micrograms per liter. It's now going to 1 microgram per liter. And I can guarantee you it's going down to 0.05 in the future, probably in about 8 years. Now, the comprehensive wastewater management plan also was looked at, and the phase 1 and 2 are complete. Phase 1 takes all the data from the town. They look at everything. They talk to every single department. They get population projections, development projections, what our equipment needs are, what our maintenance needs are. And on phase 2, they also look at flows. It's a basic flow, say, okay, where are our flows today? And what could we possibly consider to offload or secondary storage or other options for our flow? Because we know it's not going to be allowed into French's Stream, and that 2.50 million gallons a day is going to stick. The phase 3 goes into very in-depth flow options. It could be offloading. It's such as, do we connect to the MWRA? Do we connect to Rockland? Do we share flow with some other municipality? But the biggest driver on this right now is the focus on our flows to get rid of the I&I and our phosphorus reduction. Town council, when we had our initial meeting with the EPA, looked at the New England director for compliance and said, oh, we know we have an I&I problem. And she looked at them and said, you not only have an I&I problem, you have a major capacity problem. So they identified both issues. But our issue right now is not dealing with the capacity. We have to very quickly come up with a game plan to address that phosphorus reduction. Rick and Veolia have tried to do it with chemicals. It is just not cost effective to deal with that. Chemicals are going up 35% in cost a year, and there's just absolutely no end to it. Plus, when you deal with phosphorus and you throw chemicals at it, as you heard me say in the past, it leads to the creation of more sludge, and more sludge is tough to dispose of. So it is not a cost-effective milestone to go for. Now we're working on separately on the I&I reduction in the collection system through that ARPA grant. And this upgrade is going to solely focus on the wastewater treatment plant, not the collection system. Now, the reason for the phosphorus, I'm going to go into it real quick. You see this pretty picture on the left of fish and grass and clear water and sunshine, the beautiful things.
We're
then,
still,
yep.
we haven't changed screens.
You have to change the slide.
Oh, it didn't do it?
Nope.
No.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. How about now?
No,
Nope.
sometimes you have to stop sharing and do it again.
Okay, let me stop sharing and do this. I'll say, let me share screen. Where are you? Can you see it now?
There it is.
Yes.
Okay, this is,
Can't believe this quiz.
what was that? Okay, well, anyway, this is the reason for getting rid of the phosphorus. You can see the sunlight and the fish and the grass and the clear water. If we don't get rid of it, this on the right is what it looks like. It's yuckiness. Let me see if this works. Did that change?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's the way we'll do it. Okay, the reason for that they're pushing the phosphorus is for the Clean Water Act, really. The phosphorus results in excessive algae. It impacts local water. And quite honestly, it also smells. The sources of a lot of it is from agricultural runoff and fertilizer, stormwater, And a big one is the wastewater treatment discharges. Now, a phos reduction is to go from 0.2 to 0.1, and Rick's done a great job on it, but we did it in a drought period. If we have a high water period, it holds rough. And it's a critical permit compliance matter, meaning they're not going to give us any wiggle room on it. And again, another one on the nutrients is going to be nitrogen. They are talking about, and they are likely to put a nutrient restriction on us as well, and we're going to have to address that. Now, one of the main reasons for the upgrade, aside from that, is the age of the equipment. The equipment, and Rick will attest to that, a lot of it is over 60 years old. A lot of it is not even manufactured anymore. A lot of times to get spare parts, Rick is looking through Craigslist, eBay, what have you. It's also for the flows, the phosphorus, and our compliance. The last major upgrade to this facility was 40 years ago. It dealt in the admin building, and the laboratory was the primary focus, and had minimal process equipment upgrades. And again, we're worried about the potential for future nitrogen limits. Now, the question came down to the board, and we had a meeting in February with the board and Doug in the town accountant. And it was decided that to go after an $80 million project is just not cost effective. Originally, the project came in at 49 million and change. That was in 2019, 2020. That was before COVID, before inflation. That's before labor shortages and the recession that marked up prices, and again, shortfalls in delivery. This upgrade is now conservatively estimated at today's dollar at $75 million. Now, the upgrade is designed, we're going to go with small. We're going to break this project into 4 chunks spread over a 10-year period, hopefully. And we're going to go with the design build approach, which I'll go into at the next slide. Now, this upgrade is just going to be replacing older, obsolete process equipment that's no longer manufactured. Should have been done years ago, but it wasn't for whatever reason. Now, we keep saying this, and it's important for the residents to understand, and the selectmen to understand, that this upgrade is not going to give us additional capacity. It's going to allow us to efficiently and effectively continue to treat what we have now. Now, as I said, we're going to break this up into 4 contracts. Contract 1, as you can see up here, we're going to go after a tertiary system. Tertiary means secondary phosphorus removal, and electrical system upgrade. Our electrical system is not even to code. There's water coming through the conduits. So the electrical system has to be upgraded, as well as the phosphorus system. The second contract will be going after, and I'll show you the timeline of this, we'll be going after the hydraulics and capacity improvements. And that's at the front end of the building where the flow comes in, where it's screened, where it goes in up here to the primary clarifier for the solids to drop out. One of the things we're looking at that I've asked them to check out is on if structurally, we're going to get into more in depth on the structural integrity of the tanks. Can we lift the walls of the tanks to hold more than the 6 million to prevent future sewer system overflows, to give us additional storage capacity? It will not increase our capacity to take on more users, and it will not increase our capacity to discharge. It'll just give us emergency safety blanket to avoid sewer system overflows. Now, the third contract would be to be looking at equipment and structure improvements. We know that the clarifiers up here, the secondary clarifiers, need to be improved. A lot of us have seen that the concrete literally at high flow events lifts, it breathes. So that's another one. And that's where the nitrogen removal improvements will come in, is up in here. The fourth contract will be the solids handling improvement, the sludge in the digesters. They changed it. Now, we've decided to go with with a proposed approach. Now, this raised some questions that the Board of Selectmen, I want to very clearly understand, explain this to the residents. This is a guaranteed maximum price approach. Now, this guaranteed maximum price approach would be a team effort with Veolia and Wright Pierce. Reason for Veolia was this could be done as a contract amendment to our existing contract, rather than having to prepare a very costly bid to go out. It's not eliminated any competitive bidding. So that was a big issue at the selectmen's meeting, but no, it's a guaranteed maximum price. Now, what that is going to do is that's going to guarantee a full design package through 60% of the entire design of the entire 10-year package. And this is where Veolia and Wright Pierce will prepare the packages for each step along the way, each of the 4 contracts. They'll discuss the implementation with us and how it will impact the future constructions. Now, the gross, when we say that, is that once they prepare it, like say, for example, they have the contract, they have the package ready for contract bid for stage 1, the phosphorus treatment, that will go out to competitive bidding. So it's not going all in one house. It's going out to competitive bidding, so we'll get the best price that we can. But this best guaranteed maximum price is so we get the best price for the entire design. The actual construction work is going to be, and this is where that 75 million could grow and will grow. The longer we stretch it out, that 75 million we know is going to go up. But that we're locking in on the design phase now. And then each individual package will be for construction level, which means that will go out for construction level for each of the 4 bids. Now, one of the proposed approaches why we needed to go to the Board of Selectmen, we needed to get approval. This design, guaranteed maximum design approach is going to give us a 2.5 million maximum for the design. That covers the cost to develop the drawings through the 4 stages, 60% of the facility through the 4 stages. That 2.5 million will need a second vote at at the town meeting. I'll get into that. Now, we're going to also have to pursue other grants along the way. Now, we took the rate study, looked as if it was going to be funded by the residents. We're also going to be looking at grant funding. Now, none of us are experts on grants or loans. Wright Pierce and Veolia have decades of assistance doing this. They have dedicated staffs that all they do is look at loans and grants. They have built hundreds of wastewater treatment systems. We're not their only rodeo. So we're going to be using them to lean on to help us finance and help us find other avenues. I forget the woman's name, I'm sorry, at Veolia, who'll be heading up the funding. And I've asked her to contact Sherry. Sherry will be coordinating the funding for the project while she's on the board. And just keeping the board abreast and how we're going to do it. She'll be forming her own team on that. Now, Wright Pierce and Veolia are going to be working directly with the sewer commissions to find all the possible local, state, and federal grants we can. And there's some loans out there that do not even have to be repaid. They are the experts in finding them. No one in this town is, they are. And we're going to utilize that resource. As part of that 2.5 million, let's use it. Now, we also may be qualified for state revolving funds. Those are low interest loans. Now, for the phosphorus part of it, as long as we do not violate phosphorus, which is considered a nutrient, we can get 0% loans on that. And again, there may be some other loans we don't even have to go to that route. In that recent sewer study, recommended we do this over a 15-year period. That's how they paid for it, over a 15-year period. Now, for the initial guaranteed maximum price, we need $2.5 million. ARPA funds, we went to the Board of Selectmen and they graciously granted us another $1 million in ARPA funds, meaning the sewer department is going to have to fund a loan for 1.5, which we're responsible for the loan and interest. And that was included in the rate study. I want to make sure that people understand that. To date, I believe the town had $5 million in ARPA funds available. 2.5 million, I believe, is going to sewer alone. That's great. It's well needed. And it's, again, we're playing catch up for 17 years and it's not going to happen overnight. Now, with the construction contract packages, we're going to try to get contract 1 executed immediately. And the future contracts will be based on budget and emergency constraints, meaning if something fails. Now, here's how it broke down the timeline. To get to this stage, things had to happen in a sequential order. Back in 2020, I pushed hard to get you should do a CWMP first, then the facility study. I reversed the order because the facility was in dire straits. So I thought the wastewater management plan would be a lot more accurate if we did got an accurate preview of what the facility was like that. In 2021, early 2021, they came back and said 49 million. Today in 2023, that is now 75 million. Again, that was a big jump in COVID, chip shortages. This is not just doing a building, ladies and gentlemen. This is building a very technical, comprehensive, integral system. In 2022, the EPA ordered their second EPA order. This one came with conditions that you will meet, or else we don't meet them, there will be additional fines. The key on this, as we looked at again, was the phosphorus. We have to get that. The condition states in that compliance order that we have to 2023, Rick, jump in 2023 to submit a report on what we've done. We're way ahead of the game. We submitted that. We can meet it with treating chemicals, but we agreed that it's not the long range solution. They want the long range solution implemented in 2024, which is one we technically have got to stop building the construction. So here we are at 2023, and that's fiscal year 24. What we're looking to do is get the design phase done and the design phase out to bid. And hopefully by 2024, select the bidder, select the winning bid, and begin construction. It's going to be, these 2 years are going to be very, very, very hectic. We're going to be looking at a lot of grants, a lot of loans, and to get to that point. And the way the permit reads now, this system should be up and running by April 30th of 2025. Now, if you look at the schedule down here, Rick, myself, Wright Pierce began negotiating or discussing with Dave Turin at the EPA for an extension. What we found out is just generic, eye-to-eye, man-to-man conversation, or however you want to call it, that he may lean to a 2.5 year extension on that 2025 completion. My feeling, and I shared that with Rick and Wright Pierce, is that my prior experience doing construction of treatment systems with both Mass DEP and EPA is that it's like any other construction program. You are going to run into Murphy. Murphy's Law going to bite us in the ass, be it finding parts, be it finding labor, equipment shortages, what have you. If we ask for the EPA, they're not going to be very happy asking for extensions. I would rather go gung-ho and try to meet that 2024 deadline in construction before we ask them for a deadline or an extension on that, because we know down the future, be it for budget reasons, be it for construction reasons, we're going to need future extensions. This one here, we got a good handle on, and I say we go for it. Again, it's up to the town taxpayers. That is really, really important. If we have to go for an extension, I think it's going to just open up Pandora's box, and I really don't want to go that route, but if we have to, we have to October of this year to ask for an extension. And I'm going to carry it right to the last minute. This is where we came in with a thank you. Now, excuse me. Is that off? I want to go into a little bit on the selectmen's meeting. I mean, they were great as far as the presentation was very receptive, and then it got significantly off track. And normally I wouldn't take exception to it, but I'm going to, and this is my own point. It was brought up again about the need of a superintendent. We've been trying, we're advertising, and it's like every other industry, no one has applied. The conversation went into, we're not going out to bidding, and yes, it was explained we are going out to bidding. And then it got into a heated conversation about loans and grants, and Ms. Childs grilled the board members on what we know about grants, where we're going to be looking for grants. And she came back and said she's been doing a lot of reading on it. Well, we're not the experts in grants or loans, which is why in that $2.5 million, the experts are who have done decades of experience, more than reading in books. So I took exception with Ms. Child's grilling on us. But where I'm going to put my 2 cents in right now is that where I really took exception to was a comment made about a toxic environment. That toxic environment was directed at me personally. I never mentioned that sham investigation that went on last year for good reasons. It was behind us. Now, what I am going to get into now is they say I created that toxic environment, which I'm going to flat out tell you is a bunch of BS. That toxic environment was created because I asked questions. I got into asking superintendents and interim superintendents why they were spending this, why they were doing this, why we have equipment that is so outdated that it's forcing our operators to jump through hoops to keep running. That is the job of this commission to ask questions. They took exception to it. That exception went as far as to put notices up in the board, as far as not talking to elected officials. That went as far as trying to get an employee of Veolia now and formerly of Suez fired or transferred simply because he was a friend of mine for over 30 years. Ladies and gentlemen, that toxic environment wasn't created by me. They used a public meeting to say I violated the open meeting law by sitting next to a current commissioner and answering a question from a resident, which I had ran by the selectman who was at that meeting, that if I was asked a question I was going to answer, and he said, that's fine. So I answered it. Well, it turned into a violation of the open meeting law, which allowed them to go into my emails and find other things. And so I want to also go on the record and tell you that investigation on me cost the town, cost you taxpayers over close to $20,000 to investigate me. It also cost me 5 figures to defend myself. I think there were other hidden agendas to do that. One being there were 2 members on the board at the time. There was an open seat, and I think they were hoping to get rid of somebody who was asking questions, meaning me, so there'd be 2 open seats and they could appoint their own people. Well, I don't quit, I don't go down, and I quit for nobody. So I fought it. They came out with a report, and I'm going to use the word total bullshit because it is, in my opinion. And they said they turned it into the Attorney General's office. That never went to the Attorney General because they themselves know that they did not meet the 90-day deadline to submit that, because by the time they issued a decision, it was in November, well beyond the 90 days. I wanted to let that by and let it go by, but Ms. Childs decided to throw that in my face, so I'm responding to it. And I am going to tell you flat out, I do not believe I caused that toxic environment. I believe it was the superintendents and the interim superintendents who did do so. I am not going to go into why the former or the most recent full-time superintendent left. But there was good reasons for a warning I gave him, which he turned into a threat, which was based on public record meetings of another town of an incident by a DPW head that I didn't want to occur in Rockland. And he turned that into a threat. But the Board of Selectmen didn't feel that that was worthy, and they deemed that as I threatened him. And I said, I wanted, and that threat, so everyone knows, was I wanted to see all the, at the time we were issued a request for information by the EPA. It was addressed to me. I told him he wanted to take it over, and I said, fine. I said, I want to see everything that is being submitted before it's submitted, or I would consider that grounds for termination. He turned that into a threat. I do not think that was a threat, but like I said, I believe there was other motives to remove me. I've said all I'm going to say on that. Now, since that has occurred, I have broken my ass. I could say ass because we're talking about sewer. I've broken my butt to not make amends, but to build a working relationship with the town administrator, which I think is taking place in the board and with the Board of Selectmen. I think that meeting Monday night blew that up with the Board of Selectmen. I took it as a front. I can tell you with conversations with Wright Person, PS and Veolia, they couldn't believe that their credentials to find loans and grants were even challenged by someone who's never submitted a application for a public grant or a loan to our knowledge. And I just feel that Ms. Childs did more damage than harm in that meeting. I am not going to bring it up anymore. As far as I'm concerned, that investigation is behind me. The only thing I care about is doing the right thing by the residents that elected me to chair this board and to move that upgrade forward. They have the opportunity to vote me out next month. If you do so, it's up to you. But what I am going to ask the board is to consider a motion that I'm going to make, and either one of you can second it or not second it. I don't care, but I would like to send a letter to the Board of Selectmen. My motion is to send a letter to the Board of Selectmen requesting that they remove Ms. Childs as a sewer liaison and assign someone else as a to continue our working relationship. I just do not feel the relationship with her and her animosity is a healthy relationship at this point. Do I have a second on that motion? If neither one of you want a second to be a part of it, I fully understand.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second that motion.
All right, the motion as it stands to write the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator to remove Ms. Childs as the sewer board liaison and assign someone else so we can continue building a working relationship, because this is going to be a very, very in-depth project. I'm going to ask for a roll call for vote. Mr. DeRoss, how do you vote on that motion?
Oh, yes.
Ms. Valley?
Vote yes.
Mr. Hessian's a yes, that is unanimous. I have that letter in draft form. I will give it to the board on Tuesday to review, and I will submit it pending your approval. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all I'm going to say, aside from one other thing on the sewer superintendent position. The sewer department ran for 45 years without a superintendent. Where it went awry is when the town created, the Board of Selectmen at the time created a position for a town employee. Since that time, the record speaks for itself. We've had one superintendent be indicted. They hired another gentleman, a good guy, but he had no experience, and the place went broke. And I believe the reason being was that the sewer superintendent, by state law and by town charter, reports to the Board of Selectmen. Reports to the Board of Sewer Commissioners. How they've worded it is that superintendent is a town employee. See, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, trying to serve two masters. I can see him being pulled by the previous town administrator to do not to say anything about the sewer conditions, so he could get money for his other projects. Hopefully with this new board, that's over. But I think as long as the sewer superintendent is a town employee or appointed, it's never going to work until we get this ship righted. Now, there is a push to get a board of, to create a Department of Public Works, whether that includes sewer and water, I don't know, but it would be an appointed position. Now, out of the words of a previous member of the Board of Selectmen, these are exact words that were actually in print. They expect certain things and certain behavior from the people they appoint. To me, if you appoint a person to that position, at least I'm going to say with the sewer, it's not going to get righted. This department needs 5 years to right this ship. And then they can, as far as I'm concerned, they can do as they wish. But I will fight tooth and nail against a DPW and appointed sewer department head. Again, now I am done. I went into the remediation schedule. I'm going to table the proposed moratorium until we can have a further discussion in that rough draft. Future presentations, the only one that is right on track is the CWMP, which I may have them do a quick blip on. Here we are, here's what's entailed in the phase 3 for the board and for the sewer employees. And that's only if there's interest. If there's interest on the I&I work, while that's going, I'll bring in Green Mountain to do that. With that, Chucky is done, and I'm turning it over to Miss Sherry Valley, star of Pond Street. Sherry,
Thank
if you
you.
give us an update on the articles.
Thank you. So I have been meeting with the town accountant and the town administrator to get our articles squared away for town meeting vote. The sewer department will be putting forth 6 articles. Although the free cash has not been certified at this time, I was assured by the town accountant that there would be sufficient funds available for what we are requesting. Those 6 articles is a $25,000 request to repair and rehabilitate the miscellaneous injector pumps. This is just ongoing repairs. $100,000 is being requested to repair and rehabilitate the Spruce Street Station. We are requesting. This is going to be a combined article for the digester boiler piping. We are asking for $25,000 in additional funds, authorization to commingle those funds with the pledged ARPA funds, as well as taking $127,000 from a previous article and applying it to the digester boiler piping. Number 4 is the plant upgrade, the authorization to borrow and commingle with the ARPA funds that Chuck spoke about.
I'm sorry, what was that one again, Sherry?
The plant upgrade, authorization to borrow and to allow commingling of funds with ARPA.
Did that have a dollar figure?
The pledge for ARPA is $1 million, and then there will be a $1.5 million bond authorization.
Thank you.
Number 5 is currently the sewer department has an ordinance in place that was voted in 2011. And there are sections that the Board of Commissioners would like to update just because of the time that's has passed and, needs that have changed. However, in order to do that, an ordinance has to be approved at town meeting. So this does not allow for really effective or efficient changes. So we are asking to have that ordinance turned into rules and regulations. After consulting with town council, on the May warrant will be a request to change the ordinance to incorporate as a bylaw. At some point in the past, this was never done. So before we can move forward, we have to have it as officially as a bylaw. We are going to concurrently create a rules and regulations that will mirror that ordinance And the rules and regulations will be the governance, and we can make the necessary changes to that. The sixth is establish a sewer stabilization fund. It will not be funded this year, but it will be ready and waiting for future years so that we can start saving some money. It's a savings account. Questions?
Very good.
Thank you. I believe it's Tuesday, I will be meeting with the Finance Committee just to go over our FY 2024 operating budget. This has been submitted. We've discussed it. It is in, I believe, its final forms, and that's the part where the Finance Committee comes into play. It is a balanced budget, meaning that our revenues will cover the operating expenses. The way it stands at the moment, there will be 130,000 retained earnings available for next year's articles. That, of course, is always subject to whatever might happen during the year.
But that does not, excuse me, Sherry, that does not include our rate increase, does it? That'll go
No.
up.
It includes the January rate increase of 25%.
But it does not include the July one.
No, it does not.
Okay, thank you.
I&I funding, we have started several projects this year and have been fortunate to have those projects funded through articles that were previously allocated. At next week's working session, I'm going to detail all those previous articles and which are going towards which project. I've got it mapped out so that we have a clear understanding of where these funds are. I will say that there's not going to be any room for any major additional projects outside of those that we've already planned on. And that we just need to be a little careful to make sure that we don't siphon off any funds that are being designated for other items. So it's a little tricky. For example, just the I&I funding has 4 or 5 different sources that the department has currently. So I really want to map it out and spend some time on that at our next working session.
Okay.
And finally, the working sessions for the public, you know, these working sessions are intended to provide a space for the commissioners to kick around ideas. Things may be mentioned that we may or may not implement. Being a small board, if 2 members are discussing things together, that is subject to the open meeting law. So it is really our only time to just throw out ideas and make plans. Most working sessions are recorded and they can be viewed on the WRPS website. For those working sessions, the February minutes have been posted. January has been approved for posting, and there should be 3 more ready to be voted for next Tuesday. The public is always encouraged to attend. It is an open session.
In person?
In person, yes, down at the sewer plant, Tuesdays at 2 usually. Agendas are posted. Public comment may or may not be allowed at that time, depending on what's going on. And that's my report.
And I just want to add one thing to the residents. They should be very grateful that they have people like Dan and Sherry that put the effort they do into this. I mean, I'd be lost without them. And I want to thank them very much. With that, the superintendent search. I want to share the screen one more time. In the interim of not having a superintendent, this was again a misconception by Ms. Childs that we spent $60,000 of the superintendent's fees salary to make up for not having one when our interim was only charging us $2,500 a month. And I didn't want to say anything, but the figures were way off. I have all the bills, and this is what we've expended to date for the project manager. Now, I looked at this in 2 ways. I looked at paying the superintendent his salary plus 28% benefits at $130,000 a year or $10,800 a month. Then I looked at it again, which is strictly salary with no benefits. This column here is the actual costs it has cost us to date to have a project manager help us. I want to specifically point out September, October, November, and then it takes a radical jump down in December. The reason for these 3 months is we had to find out where we were. We had a lot of contracts out there. We didn't know that we're out there. We got sidetracked with that EPA order. And most of these hours right here went to that EPA order and trying to figure out where the hell we were. As you can see, it's dropped down significantly. These are the actual hours the people have spent on it that month, number of working days in that month. And these are the actual hours per day that they have spent. Now, granted, it's not the full superintendent's job. I'm not saying that, but that's a bulk of it. That's a high-tech position of it. That's looking at contracts. That's looking at everything you could think of to get going, talking with vendors. Now, how that breaks down to a year, I took these and I'm projecting them out a year. That means we're looking at $2,759 a month. Average hours a month is 17 hours a month. That's looking at it, projecting it out long term. Now you come down here and this is what the average hours, what we're spending now that we're going to spend. We're going to be spending, if we keep going on this track, $33,000 a year. Now a lot of these months are going to be in that $200 range. Now we have a couple of heavy hitters that are coming up and that may make a jump. I'm predicting probably around $1,200 in March. But that's what we would have spent today, right there. Now, if you look at that number with the salary of the super, that's what the salary would have been with the superintendent of $130,000. This is what we were saving on it. Again, I'm not saying that's the full job, but I'm saying that's what we're looking at now. And without the benefits, that's what we're looking at. It's not $60,000 a year. To Ms. Child's favor, she pointed out an error that was a transposition. Sherry, you can explain it.
So during this discussion of the superintendent update, it was suggested that funds were trickling through the department and not being monitored correctly. And she mentioned the superintendent's salary account. I investigated that immediately, and it was exceptionally high due to a clerical error in posting. There was no mismanagement. The funds were all accounted for.
So once again, these are the actual numbers of the project manager. Now I have a detailed spreadsheet also submitted by Veolia of what they worked on and where those hours went, if anyone cares to look at that. This is a public document now. I'm not going to put it up on the website, but if somebody wants it, they can have it. I'd be more than happy to share it with them. I just wanted to mention that. As far as the superintendent, we are looking. I am going to be talking to the board about maybe are we in the right vicinity salary wise, but I have been told by both Veolia, Wright Pierce, and Weston Sampson that they themselves cannot find help. There are a number of sewer departments screaming for the same position we are. I think Rick from Veolia will test. He's in the same boat looking for technical help as well. We're looking. I'm also looking at, I had a conversation, I haven't shared that with the board yet, but I had a conversation with Stacy Callahan about maybe modifying it that I want to talk to you about at our next meeting. Am I saying the job is not needed? I'm not saying that as of yet. It's becoming a burden to Robin. We're getting Robin an additional 15 hours a week help. But we're trying our best to get someone. It's not that we're not trying. Robin is over her ears, up to her butt in alligators, trying to keep things going. She's doing a great job. Sherry, Dan is struggling. I'm struggling, but we're trying to do the best we can. So that we're keeping up. EPA update. The EPA next due date is the CWMP, which I told you we got a minor delay on. That we have the next major submittal is in May. We're way ahead of that. It's just a matter of the way I set that submittal up with Veolia was a plug and play. So we won't even see close to the numbers we saw for project management on that. It's 95% done. Future meetings, I wanted to touch base again one more time that we'll be putting a notice up. As far as I know, we're still on Zoom. That may change in April. I will leave it to the public to tell us if they don't mind, if they want to move it to the afternoon in person or evenings in person. The board, if we don't hear significantly from public, the board will make that decision for you. With that, Rick, you're on.
All right. All right, let's jump right into this. I'm going to start off with the March SSO that we had at the facility, like Chuck mentioned. Approximately it was on the Wednesday, the 15th at 07:30 in the morning. We were forced to blend our wastewater with the final effluent. And the reason I use blending versus bypassing is because we're fortunate that the facility has over 1 million gallons of empty space in some old tanks. So what we do primary treatment, remove all the rags. There's no rags going out. We chlorinate the final effluent. And then when the tanks are completely full, there's no more room for anywhere else, then we blend it with our final effluent. During this last event, it was, well, it wasn't approximately, it was 43 and a half hours. Our staff, we were shorthanded. I had one guy on vacation. We worked three shifts for 3 days, and then we worked 2 shifts for approximately 4 more days. So with that being said, it was 43 and a half hours, or a total flow of 1,812,500. That number you gave earlier, Chuck, that was one of the 8-hour. I think it was 1,333. So this
What
was
I did, Rick, you know what I did is I combined the other SSO.
yeah. So the 1812 was the final number that I reported on the sewage notification system.
It was 1.8 million.
1.8 million, correct.
Just the March 15th one?
Yes, because it went 43 and a half hours total time before we finally stopped the pumps. Well, the pump was only one pump at 0300 on Friday morning. And then from that point on, we were just handling the excess flow through the facility. At that point, well, early in the day, we were pushing 7 million gallons through the facility. And as Chuck said earlier, plant's only designed for 2.5. If you look in the old O&M manual, it says that the plant can treat 6 million for approximately 3 hours. Well, when you get 7 million coming through, you don't have many options. And then even I really can't even go that high, because at 6 million gallons, it puts the level in my grit chamber literally inches from going over the tank and going to a storm drain. So my hands are tied. So at that point, we started the sewage notification system. I let Chuck know. We let the residents know. At that point, Chuck and Robin and I worked together. We ended up putting it up on the website, and then every 8 hours thereafter, I would give Chuck an update, and then he was going up on the website and updating the notification accordingly. And then finally, let's see, what time was that? It was actually the next morning. We ended up doing the final, and I think it was the final report is what I did. I actually did it. Let me see. I can actually see this real quick on my screen. I think it was, yeah, I'm just looking at my notification. So I reported it. Let's see, verified the data, and I believe I closed it out duration. Oh, and I don't know if I said it, but I think I did say it earlier. Again, we received 3.26 inches of rain at the facility in 36 hours. I mean, I don't know what else I could have done. I mean, to receive that much rain in a 36-hour period, it's ludicrous, you know. But
one thing I want to add is that people, they flush the toilet and they think that's it, or they empty their sink and that's it. And I tell Rick every month, and Megan, that I can't believe the job that these people do down there, and that they're the reason why we were able not to have an upgrade after all these years. If it wasn't for the staff that Rick had, we're dead in the water, and they went through the hoops with this overflow. And that goes for Robin too. I mean, she did yeoman's work on this. This is out of the ordinary, and it's Unfortunately, I think it's gonna be more the norm than.
Right. And yes, actually,
Thanks to all of you. And Robin, that goes for you too.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, Chuck. So like I said, yeah, Rob and I work very well together to make sure that the public is notified of the incident. And then we update it accordingly until it actually finishes. Again, just because I stopped the pump going out at 0300 on Friday morning, that didn't stop my guys from working 2 shifts for, like I said, five consecutive days. And that's just a balancing act. What we end up doing is the flow was still coming in. Even after that, over the weekend, we were still at 5.8 through the whole weekend. So what we basically do is we shave flow off during peak flows, which is late morning, early afternoon on a weekend. And then on like a Monday and Tuesday, what we basically did, we shave flow in the morning between 0900 and typically 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then we do the same thing in the evening when everyone's home and we get additional flows. So we did that, like I said, for another 5 days after the event was technically ended. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything more I can, I let everyone know. I let the EPA know, DEP know, I did, follow course with the actual notification system. I think that's all I have on that. Monthly operating report, February 2023. So last month we discussed the flow. Our January flow was 4.3, very high, a lot of rain, 7 inches of rain. February we came back down. We were at 2.94, still a violation, but we only had like 1.7 inches of rain. Now March we have the SSO event. We're at approximately, approximately say 3.2. I think it was 4.5 inches when I looked at last. So far this month, and we're back up to 3.8 MGD. So obviously we're looking at a 3rd consecutive violation for monthly average flow exceeding it of 2.5 MGD.
What I want people to realize is that we're already at, for 50 months, a 74% violation average. That is not going to go over well when they look at the fine issue.
Right.
And that's just treating for the development we have today. That's not any more future development. It's what we're dealing with today. Sorry, Rick.
No, that's, and like I said, a lot of this is I. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, our flows, it rains heavy and we see the flow. I mean, we see it on, we're old fashioned. We still have some flow charts but we have a SCADA system, and we noticed that around, and Chuck, we discussed this, that taking a look at again at that manhole at Reed's Pond. Before the event starts, I have one of my operators take a picture. The manhole is approximately, I'm going to say, I don't know, 15 feet away, the Reed's Pond. During the event, Reed's Pond was completely surrounded by water from with water. So again, is it coming in through there? Do we need some work over there? I think it needs to really be investigated. And Chuck and I have talked about this, about going after the manhole. And there's been work done at the manhole, but it's just amazing when that manhole gets covered, and it's not even covered because previous superintendents actually raised it, I believe, almost 4 feet. It's just that the water from Reed's Pond is just too much, and it's getting out there. I mean, I'd love to see when we have a rain event if we could lower the pond, but I know that falls on the state, and that's almost like an act of God to try to do that. So I think we're going to continue to have these problems when we do have significant rain amounts. Jumping into repair and maintenance, no significant repair and maintenance projects right now at the facility. Generator replacement bid specs. Chuck, you should be seeing something tomorrow from Veolia. I know the bid spec has been completed. We'll be forwarding it to you, and then I believe you go to Doug Lapp as the procurement officer, or maybe to the attorney first.
Well, the way I'm going to route that, Rick, I'm going to have the attorney look at it first.
Yep.
And, attorneys got to put their 2 cents in. No offense taken. Don't sue me.
Yeah, basically, you're going to follow the same format.
Tweak what they have to tweak. Then I'll give it to Doug and Scott to look at.
Okay, so like I said, you should see that tomorrow.
That
And I
should
know
go
you
up by the end of
updated the-
next week.
Yep, you updated the boiler piping update. I actually was on that email chain too, and I was looking at it, and I believe Hallam will have everything to go, I believe, by Wednesday, the 29th. So I'm hopeful, once we get that, that should be able to go out to bid within 2 weeks. We're still waiting from some additional drawings from the engineering company. And I'm hopeful, like I said, that'll get out to bid in 2 weeks. Staffing, like Chuck says, with the superintendent, again, Veolia has same issues. I don't think there's a facility that we currently operate that we are not short 1 man, 2 men, 3 men. It's just, it's out of control. Rockland is short 1. And like I said, during our most recent event, people have to take vacations, so I was short 1, which really hurt, when you're trying to staff a facility and you're getting in, you're receiving 7 million gallons coming down the pipeline. We're working on it. We're doing the best we can. It's just, I've had 4 applicants that have applied for the position, and they're, unfortunately, they're way overqualified. I mean, they all got degrees and, doctorates, and it's just that's not the position I'm looking for, for the Rockland position. Markouts. Now that the spring weather is upon us, we're back up to 7 to 10 markouts a day. Not doing the ones that we talked about previously, Chuck, with the gas company, but a lot of residents, and again, we respond, the guys did, I think, like 10 today alone.
Only if they break ground.
Yeah, so there's a lot of driveways and things like that, and people are putting in, so we just have to be careful. So we go out there and we just mark out where the stub is and try to make it, short and sweet.
Are you finding that the GIS software helping you, cutting down the time at all?
Yeah, absolutely. What we have it on the iPad at the facility, but a lot of the guys, what they've done, they've actually loaded it onto their own, onto their phones.
Really?
And by doing that, they don't even have to come back to the facility to grab the iPad. When we had the training, I forgot the name of the company, Robin knows. They ended up showing us, and they helped all the operators put it on their phones. And like I said, it's the biggest thing with that, it's saving us time versus coming back to the plant, getting the drawings, making copies on the copy machine. Now we can just basically pull it up on the thing. All you need is a can of green paint, and all the vehicles have that.
All right.
That's all I have. If there's any questions, if you have any questions regarding the SSO, the report, please let me know. Like I said, it's one of the worst things I hate doing is an SSO. I've been at the facility for 25 years now, and we've had them over the years, and I wish I could say they're going to stop. I've done this story before. My first day there, I walked into an SSO, and like I said, 25 years later, they're still.
I'll do everything I can to make sure you leave on one. You could surf right out.
I appreciate that.
That's okay.
Rick, I would just like to extend my thanks to you and your team for all the work that you're doing. It's not an easy job, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
That goes for all of you down there. Robin, you're included. I mean, this has been a tough time for all of you, as I know it. I wish there was a way I could help you out of it real quick, but I'm burning the candles trying to figure out. But I don't know what this town would do without Veolia and Robin down there right now. Anyway, new business for April. Nothing good. Excellent. I see one person on for a resident, Miss Samantha Woods. Would you have anything you'd like to add to tonight's meeting? Oh, there she is. Hi.
Hi. Yep, my name is Samantha Woods. I am not a resident of this town of Rockland. I am the executive director for the North and South Rivers Watershed Association.
Oh, then I'm going to allow you to speak tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So this has been a really informative meeting. Thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing. Clearly, you're certainly have a Sisyphean effort to overcome, and we appreciate that. I think we, listen, I've been around for a long time. I was involved with the 2006 permit, And then, we didn't really see what was going on. I think, we didn't really know what was happening over there. And now it's 2022. I saw the administrative order. And now we have sewer notification, right? So there's been a new law that tells, kind of wakes us all up, at least me, as to what's going on. So I know of the SSOs. And the reason I know is because the shellfish beds are being closed downstream. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Okay. So, I don't know if there's another way for us to get notification. Then the only notification I've been getting is through the Division of Marine Fisheries shutting us down. I am on your agenda sign up, so now I know about your meetings.
Well,
But is there
I'll take it one step further. You send me your email address.
Okay.
And I will make sure that you get minutes of our meetings, and I'll make sure that you get any information you request. You come to me. Robin's tied up, very busy, but you send any request you have to me directly, and I'll make sure it's met. But I will make sure you're copied on minutes, agendas, and anything else you wish.
Well, I've been getting all your meeting, whatever you do when you update your the agenda center, I get those. So I'm on that. But what I'm not getting is the SSO notification. I went on, because I knew DMF notified us, I went on your website, and then I eventually saw what Rick is just talking about. So I was able to put the pieces together. But once the shellfish beds close, we wouldn't be notified anymore unless I could figure out another system. So anyways, I'll send you my email. That's fine. However you'd like to notify me, that's great. I don't know if there's another sort of system in place so that anybody who'd like to be notified, who's in the public.
May I speak?
Sure.
Chuck?
Sure.
Hi, Samantha. I'm Robin. I work down at the sewer plant. We have a list that we send out when we have an SSO event.
Okay.
I could add you to that list if you want to send me your email, and then you would be notified when it becomes active. And
Perfect.
on our website, we put up a notice when it ends.
Yes.
But you could always feel free to call us in between too if you need more information, but at least you'll get the initial report of the SSO.
Will do. Okay. Well, I put my email in the chat, but
Keep it up there. Go ahead. Oh, put it back. Oh, no,
It's
I'll
just-
get a letter from the
I
chat.
got it.
Okay.
got it.
just my name and the nsrwa.org. So that was one thing. And then I guess the other thing that I wanted to ask you all is, is there any sampling done of fecal coliform of the blended sewage as it's going into the stream? Do you have any data? Because I do think, well, we just like to know what the amount of fecal coliform is, if that's something that you guys can test for.
I can answer that question. So we just switched to, we went from the Chuck said the NIPTES report, the NIPTES permit, and I believe it's in March. Well, it was actually February of last year, and we switched from fecal to E. coli. And then April 1st, which is only a week away, we will now be on the Mass General permit, and that, I believe the new permit it's once per week for E. coli. So we no longer do fecal coliforms any longer.
Okay.
So I don't have any of the equipment to do them. We used to do them in house. So now the E. coli, we have a nice little machine, but we can, like I said, we did do them over the event. That's only when we were bypassing. So we do have some numbers.
Because I think that we get shut down for 21 days automatically.
Okay.
But I think if they had data,
Mhm.
I mean, it is 15 to 16 miles upstream. I think if we could get some of the information of what you tested for during the event, what was being discharged, then we could, do some math and try to figure out what how long, maybe there's a lesser time period that we could be closed for. We just want to, the 21 days is kind of a blanket. And I think we'd like to have more data-based or evidence-based decision-making around that, to help see if we can open the shellfish beds more, safely, of course, but for a longer period of time. The shellfish beds are only open now. We had just gotten them open because of concerns over other things downstream. And so we have them open from October 1st through May 31st. So it's a short window that they have to use the shellfish beds. And now we've had 2 SSO events this season, and that's 42 days that have been taken away. So I'm thinking if we can get some more data, then maybe we would be able to shorten those days if, to make sure that, obviously we want to make sure it's safe, but based on real information rather than whatever.
I know I was speaking, I'm not sure, is it Holly? I spoke to someone from, I forgot the name of so her and I were talking during the event, and I kind of like cleared up some of her, because she thought it was straight raw wastewater. And she goes, oh, that should actually help us with reopening of the beds. Because I said to her how it's blended, there's no toilet paper, there's nothing except literally clear water and with sodium hypochlorite. So she was kind of happy with that statement that I gave her on the last event. But yeah, I can get you, I'll get your email. I see it on the chat, and I can send you what we have during this past event.
That would be very helpful to us. And I guess lastly, we'd like to just, I'd like to offer us as a resource as well. We know that we want you to fix this problem, right? We know you guys want to fix this problem, and we know that money is clearly a stepping stone, a hurdle, right? That's a lot of buckos. The good news is that right now is a good time to be asking. And I think you guys are in a unique position where we could really take advantage of some of these federal dollars that are coming, that have come and will continue to come. And I think you're setting yourself up well to hopefully avail yourself of some of those dollars. So we would be happy. I'd be happy to talk further with you about what I know of the revolving fund, about the infrastructure bill, about the federal funds that have come through the recently passed Inflation Reduction Act. There's a lot of money going to SRF, some of which you might be able to not have to repay, that they might forgive, depending on what criteria you might meet. So, and I agree, I totally agree with you that Right Pierce and the professionals, they know, because this is their bread and butter, where and how to do it. But we'd like to be helpful to helping you get this solved.
I love it. Thank you, Webb. It's funny, I had tried to reach out to you through another resource to set up a meeting with you a year or so ago. I sent it to an email. I probably got the wrong email address. But I would love to meet with you. And what I could do is I could arrange a meeting between yourself, the people at Right Pierce, Violi, and Sherry and Dan, and myself, to discuss this in depth. I think it would be great. I'd even like to see your group put on a little presentation for us some night, 10 or 15 minute, what you're about, why it's important. People don't, it's, and I'm sure you understand, what people don't see don't exist. And that's what they think about wastewater and underground. They don't realize that the infrastructure that carries all this stuff is so important. And you won't find a bigger tree hugger than I. So I will throw my agenda open to you anytime you wish.
Well, I really appreciate that,
Chuck. About funding and all that. And you tell me when you're available and I will set up that meeting face to face.
Okay. Terrific. Well, like I said, I'm just kind of getting my head back around where you're at. And we had a staff person come to your meeting at the select board's meeting on Tuesday. There wasn't any time for public comment, so that's why I came tonight, just so I could ask a few of these questions. And then I hear you in your meetings tonight talking about the fact that you'd have that comprehensive waste management plan report available, that there'll be a public comment period in
Well, what I'm going to
June.
do is I'm going to make sure that you get a copy of the draft when we get it, when the board members get it.
That would be great.
So you have a chance. I will send you, I will get your email. I will send you my email address. And when I get my draft, I'll make sure you're on distribution to that. I will ask you that you do not share that. You share with your people.
Mhm.
And for your comment, I would appreciate it. But no, I will work hand in hand with you, and I'll do whatever you wish. And if you can help us with on the finance end, even better.
Well, I think we both want the same outcome.
You do.
And
And I'm sorry on behalf of the board, this board, that it's taken so long to get here.
Yeah.
17 years of neglect is a lot to overcome, but I think you've got some sincere commitment from 3 people here, 4 people that'll make it work.
well, like I said, I think you're in a unique time where there are potential financial resources that I hope will help. I'm sure that was a big part of the challenges that the town has faced, as anybody knows. So again, let's just see if we can try to work together to get this thing wrangled to help you guys do the right thing. So
I can guarantee you nothing but 100% cooperation. You reach out to me directly anytime you wish.
all right, well, I appreciate that. And
What about documentation? So the facility study draft of 1 and 2 of the CWMP is on our website. As you know, the final phase 3 is going to be quite in depth. You'll have 3 weeks to look at that ahead of the public. So I'll make sure you get a copy.
Yep, I think that would be great. I mean, I think the I&I, as you've been discussing, so you have sort of one plan that's around the upgrades of the plant. That I think sounds like there'll be some more capacity that might help with some of these overflows. And then there's the I&I issue, right?
Funny you bring that up. You might be able to help us. One of the big obstacles we've had is to increase our discharge limit. I'd like to get it up to at least 3. This is not the time and place to have those discussions, but I would like to open the door to that, to maybe see if somehow we could put our heads together and see if we can work with the DEP and EPA to make that happen. You may not like it, I'm not sure, but well,
on the face of it, generally speaking, we don't want to increase discharge to our surface waters.
You can't score unless you take the shot.
Yeah, well, it's okay to talk about things, and it's okay to disagree. And
no note of it. I love a discussion.
Yeah. So again, I think we both want to see, I think, the progress can happen, and that's clear that you guys are making a lot of effort here. And I have to say, I was pretty impressed with all of the presentations so far that I've been seeing. That being said, there's a lot of hue and outcry now that the world knows that there's sewage, or partially treated sewage, blended sewage, being discharged. And I don't think that's a bad thing, frankly. I think it's a good thing that people know. As you say, it's kind of a hidden thing until that's part of the reason we're supportive of the passage of the sewage notification law.
Well, I've been beating on this drum I've been on the board now 6 years, and I've been beating on it for 6 years. So finally somebody's listening to me. So it's a good thing. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for your input. And please feel free to join us anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you for putting me on the list. And I look forward to looking at the draft management plan, or comprehensive wastewater, CWMP.
I'll tell you what, I'm not paying for the postage, but you're free to come by and pick it up. And I'll see that you get an electronic copy.
Yeah, electronic would be good.
Okay.
All right, very good. Appreciate your time. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Boys and girls, I've kept you up late tonight. With that, I'll take a motion in tonight's meeting.
I make the motion to end the meeting.
I have a second.
I second the motion.
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss,
Yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes.
Mr. Hession's a nay. No, Mr. Hession's a definite yes. I saw a ball game come on. Rick, Robin, thank you so very, very much for everything you guys do.
You're welcome.
There's a
Thank
way I
you.
can take care of you.
All right.
I would like to echo that with Robin. You're doing a tremendous job down there.
Thank you so much.
He does.
Boys and girls, I will see you later.
All right, have a good night.
Have a good night, guys. Bye now.
Bye.
Where the hell do I end this thing?